Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. My name is Rylie and if you are new here, hit that little subscribe button down there and we can become best pals. And if you do enjoy this video, make sure to give me a big thumbs up and that's it. Okay, the sun is going down, so we're working with very limited time here, but I just wanted to quickly film this video for you guys because I do get lots of questions from people just being like, how the hell do you afford to travel? Especially because I basically traveled for 6 months. I keep on saying last year, it's not last year, it was a year before that. I basically went home for 6 months and then 6 months after I was home, I moved to London and now I live in London and obviously the living expenses are really, really high here. So I definitely have a few tips and tricks up my sleeve that really help you sort of be able to save extra money on trips and booking trips and all that sort of stuff. How I get that extra money to travel. Now, let me just pause you here and say I'm not going to be giving you ridiculous tips that you just hear everywhere, like take a bus instead of a plane or cook your own food. Everyone knows to do that. So these are more like, yeah, things you don't think of, which are quite smart. I'm like pretty proud of myself for thinking of these. I do have them written down on my phone, so that is why I'm holding this little guy. And number one, my first one, which I say to people a lot and they're like, oh my God, that's so true, but they just don't think about it, is weighing up the cost of going to an airport versus getting a train. For example, in London, the airports are, I mean, there's a lot of airports in London which we're so lucky to have, but they will take you at least an hour to get to, like a minimum. For me, the way I get to the airports, it takes me generally 2 hours to get to any like Luton, Stansted or Gatwick. So yeah, that's a long time. I'm adding 2 hours onto my travel time, which is not really ideal. Plus, you also have to pay for that transport there, which just adds on to say your flight costs. So say if you find a really, really cheap flight to like Paris, I always like say to people, okay, just weigh up the time and the cost. So sure, it's a really cheap flight, but how much is it going to cost you to get to the airport? And how much is it going to cost you to get from the Paris airport to the Paris city centre? Make sure you include those prices on top of the flight price when comparing to, like, say, getting the Eurostar over like the Channel. A lot of the time that will, I guess, not necessarily save you money, but it will probably work out to be even or like quite similar going from the airport versus the train. But you can get the train from literally the city centre of London and straight into the city centre of Paris, and you don't have to worry about any other transport because a lot of the time the airports are freaking far away. And yeah, people just don't think about weighing up those two costs and time as well. And then it doesn't really take that long to get to Paris. Probably by the time you add on all the airport times as well, and you know, getting there like an hour or two before your flight, like if you have to check in baggage or whatever. When you get the train, you only have to get there half an hour before just to like board and stuff. So make sure you think of those, like make sure you definitely look at all your options before just going, oh, I'm just gonna get a flight because it's easiest. Sometimes it's not, guys. And another one of my tips on this sort of little area is think about where your accommodation is. So sure, you can go further out of the city centre and find some super cheap accommodation, but you will also have to think about how you're going to get into the city centre from there, and you'll probably have to pay for transport costs every single day going into the city centre and going back out. So make sure you like add those two combined, because that's technically going to be your accommodation cost, and then compare that to staying at a place that's in the city centre. And most of the time, it'll probably be cheaper or a similar price. You don't have to deal with all that hassle of trying to figure out like how the hell to get into the centre because you're already there and you can walk everywhere. Okay, my next tip is to use an app called Tripcoin. Let me just get it up for you. I've spoken about this before, especially on my budgeting videos and all of that stuff. I use this app called Tripcoin. Can we get a focus? So yes, I use this app called Tripcoin, and say if we like go into a trip, you can like literally put in there every single thing that you spend for the day. Yeah, you can put in there every single thing that you spend for the day, and it's a really good way to just track how much you're spending on holidays, because a lot of the time money just flies by and you're like, where the hell did I spend that? And I'm way over budget, like what the hell am I gonna do? I'm in this country and I have no money. I definitely recommend tracking your money and seeing where it's going, and make sure you're really staying on top of your whatever you've budgeted for the trip. And my next one is, make sure you're checking sites like Groupon or Scoopon or whatever like the website is for the country you're going to, because you can find some seriously great deals through there. Sorry, I have this bad habit of playing with my hair. Like, it's honestly, it's like an addiction. It's crazy. Anyways, check those sites because you can definitely find really good deals for like, you know, if you want to do little day trips or you want to do some fun activities. It's a really good way to just save money on those sort of little travel activities. So my next one is obviously when you are looking for hostels and I guess potentially hotels, they might do this. So obviously it's great if you can get a free breakfast for like a decent price. You know, you don't want to be paying. Sometimes I see on like booking.com and I'm like, this is just so stupid. You'll be like, oh, I don't know, $10 per night for your bed without breakfast. And then it's like $20 per night for bed with breakfast. It's like, I'm not paying $10 for a breakfast. What a joke. But if you do find places that include breakfast already in all the prices, and it compares relatively to other similar places in the area and their price, my next tip is try and find a place that includes dinner as well. When I went to Sofia in Bulgaria, I'll have a vlog up here if you want to watch it. I don't think I really vlogged the free dinner because it was kind of like a time to be socializing with other people and talking to them and stuff, and I was like, I don't want to be like shoving a camera in their face. But every single night at the hostel, they literally made us dinner and it was so much fun. Number one, obviously free dinner, amazing, and this place actually included free beer. I mean, I don't drink beer, but like if you did, that's amazing. And like, it was pretty good food. I can't even remember what we had now. There was always like a pasta and there was usually like a stew type thing, and there was always like a vegetarian option. And then they had a whole bunch of sides like breads, and you could add salad and stuff. And it was just such a fun time because everyone would go down to the common room and have dinner. And so it was another great way to like socialize and meet more people and speak to them, as well as saving money. So I literally spent barely any money on food when I was in Sofia because I had my breakfast and my dinner included in my accommodation. So literally all I spent it on was lunch. And like lunch, you usually just eat like a small sandwich or like something as you're like going along with your day. So literally like nothing on food. It was crazy. So if you can find a place with free dinner, do it. So my next one is, and I am such an advocate, I think that's the right word, for traveling solo. So this is my next tip, travel solo if you can. It is number one, so much fun. Number two, meet so many people. But my main reason is obviously when you're traveling with other people, we don't all have the same interests. So we're not always gonna wanna do the same thing. So a lot of the time when you're traveling with someone else, you kind of get roped into doing things you don't really want to do, or you know, going to a museum you don't really want to see, or doing an activity and you're like, oh, I don't really want to spend money on this, but because you're traveling with that person and it's something they really want to do, you kind of do it for them. Whereas if you're traveling solo, you save so much money on that stuff because you don't have to go and do things you don't want. You literally just pay for the things you want to do, and then you can go and do free things or whatever. Like, it's just so good that you don't have to spend that money on things you don't want. So that's definitely a little tip, if possible, to travel solo, because I love solo travel. I'm pretty sure pretty much all of my trips this year are going to be solo travel, and I am so freaking keen about it. I mean, of course it is really fun to travel with friends and like do that as well, but also solo travel. My second last tip is make sure you check what travel card you're using. Actually, all of my travels up until moving to London, I used the same travel card, and it was the CommBank, I think it's called Travel Money Card or something, and it was just so easy because I was with CommBank in Australia, and it just connected to my bank account, and I just transferred money on there, and it was just all linked to everything, and it was just so easy. So I was like, you know what, I'm just gonna stick to this card because it's just so easy. And then when I moved over here, I was like, oh, I need to get a new travel card, or at least a card I can use in Europe, because I'm obviously earning money here, so I'm spending my pounds. And I looked around a bit, and I'm currently with this bank called Starling. If you're from the UK and you're looking for a bank, Starling's really good. And I have realized how much money I have literally lost by using that CommBank one. Starling does not charge you any fees for anything, not for taking money out, not for converting money, literally nothing. And their exchange rate uses the MasterCard exchange rate. And everything I've compared to on the Starling exchange rate has been so much better. Like I honestly think I've already saved so much money because their exchange rate is so good. Whereas with Commonwealth Bank, their exchange rate is so bad. Like honestly, just thinking about it, I've probably lost thousands of dollars just because I didn't look into like my travel card. They also charge you fees to withdraw money, and then sometimes the actual ATMs you're using charge you fees. And this one time when I was in Thailand, it literally cost me 15 Australian dollars to take money out. Yeah, what a joke. So I've definitely learnt my lesson now. When I go back to Australia, I'm not using the CommBank travel money card because it is so bad and you definitely lose lots of money. So definitely do some research and find like the best card available to you, best exchange rate and as minimal fees as possible, and you would definitely save much more money. So my last one is just a quick little tip that I just thought I'd add in here, which is quite simple, but you know, some people just don't think about these things. And mine is to book accommodation with free cancellation, because I don't know about you, but I just love scrolling through like booking.com or Hostelworld just to look at all the fun accommodation that's around for like hours for no reason. And like a lot of the time I come across a better accommodation than I've just booked, because usually when I book a trip I'm like, oh, I need accommodation, and I sort of just do a quick little bit of research and like book something to make sure that I have accommodation and it's not going to sell out, especially if I'm traveling in like peak times or something. And yeah, you can definitely come across way better deals or find a place with free dinner like I suggested, and then just cancel the original one. So definitely always good to have that option if possible. But anyways guys, that's all of my tips. I hope that they helped you out, and I hope that you save money on your next trip, because we're all about that travel life, getting as much as we possibly can in. So thank you so much for watching this video. I love you all so much, and I'll speak to you next time.